Hello, everyone. Steven Schinder here, broadcasting on Yes Shift and Drum Talk TV. And this is another bonus review thing. So I'm going to be reviewing the new album from Mandoki Soulmates titled Memories of Our Future, which actually comes out this Friday, May 10th, from Inside Out Music. So yeah, we were sent the download via the PR. So um, this is an incredible album. I'll just say up front. I feel like there are some albums where, especially in the prog community, where if you're recommending something to someone, you might be like, well, you might like this if you like this. But I can see a wide range of people really enjoying this album. But first, who are Mandoki Soulmates? Because to be honest, before getting the press release and seeing all the news about them for this new album, I was kind of naive to what this was. So just looking at the website description right here, it sums it up pretty well. Um, Mandoki Soulmates, the international and intergenerational supergroup consisting of rock and fusion grandmasters surrounding founder and mastermind Leslie Mandoki, proudly announced their new album, A Memory of Our Future, to be released worldwide May 10th via Sony Music's label Inside Out Music. And you get a bit of the backstory here. 30 years of Soulmates, the band of band leaders. In 1992, Ian Anderson, Jack Bruce, and Al Di Meola became founding members of Leslie Mandoki's band project Mandoki Soulmates, and for over 25 years since, Leslie Mandoki has continued to unite a who's who of the icons of Anglo-American and European rock and jazz rock in the Mandoki Soulmates band. The remarkable lineups in the band's recordings and performances over the years has included singers and players including Ian Anderson, Jack Bruce, David Clayton Thomas, Chaka Khan, Chris Thompson, Bobby Kimball, and Steve Lukather, Nick Van Eed, Eric Burden, Nick Kershaw, Craig Lake, Al Di Meola, Randy and Michael Brecker, Corey Henry, Bill Evans, John Hellewell, Till Bronner, Klaus Doldinger, Mike Stern, Richard Bona, Anthony Jackson, Victor Bailey, Pino Palladino, Tony Carey, Mark Hart, Paul Carrick, Peter Frampton, and John Lord. Apologies if I mispronounced anything, but you're bound to have recognized at least one of the names in there, right? Maybe at least a couple. I mean, what a collection of people who've been involved with this. So original Soulmates compositions and collective improvisations on highest levels are just as much part of the concerts as world-renowned hits of the individual Soulmates members. One quote, one stage, one band, unquote. And continuing this description, with his Soulmates, Leslie Mandoki raises jazz rock back to socio-political relevance. To quote him in his own words, even in times of Twitter, social media, and short news on the smartphone, when mental laziness often blocks the perception, music for us is still like a love letter to our audience, handwritten with ink on paper. Yeah, so music, again, it's such a strong voice music. Sometimes people can listen to music just passively in the background, but it can also be like really upfront and surround you. And some of the compositions on this new album, I could imagine like it's sort of being, I don't know, like right next to your ear as you are outside in the savannah or in the wilderness or something. It really, the soundscape really paints a picture in the mind. I see. Oh, there's a comment from Chavez Carlos. Great bands, Prague. Thanks for your information, my friend. Happy Monday. Okay, thanks, Chavez. Thanks for tuning in. So I'll go ahead and show you all the album cover for this. Just gotta make sure I get the right controls. Let's see. Okay, this ought to do it. Okay. So share my screen and pick the correct thing. Okay, there we go. So yeah, take a look at that. Yeah, it's really incredible. You get the bird in the center here, and I quite like the contrast with the black and white. And you also get the red and black, which is a nice mix in with the text. And of course, you get the collection of the people involved on this particular album, A Memory of Our Future. So you've got Leslie Mandoki, Ian Anderson, Al Di Meola, Mike Stern, Randy Brecker, Bill Evans, Till Broner, Tony Carey, Corey Henry, Nick Van Eed, Simon Phillips, Jesse Seibenberg, John Hellowell, Mark Hart, Julia Mandoki, and Steve Bailey and Richard Bona. So you've got quite the all-star, like basically like all-star collection of musicians on this. You got a few Supertramp people. You got, of course, Nick is from Cutting Crew, Tony Carey from Rainbow. I'm not as familiar with those, but Ian Anderson, Jethro Tull, of course, Tull is, Dad and I love Jethro Tull, and Ian really shines with his flute work on this. Like he's there right from the start, like very prominent on the opening track. So I'll go through the track list. So first up, we have Blood in the Water, and there's a nice video for this on the Inside Out Music YouTube page, I believe it was, and you get to see the performers. And I'm always appreciate when they show the performance in the videos. And there might be a couple other videos on the channel as well. I know a few of these songs are out as singles, I believe. Um, and if not, well, you'll get all the songs when they come out. Like at the end of this week, get this album. So first up, Blood in the Water. Like I said, there's great flute work on here. The music is very bombastic, and throughout this album, there are some very catchy lines being sung, but it doesn't sound too I feel like when people talk about catchy lyrics, there's this perception, right, where sometimes people will think, oh, it sounds like, catchy lyrics are kind of phoned in, but catchy lyrics, they're memorable and they're not phoned in. Not every context, of course. In this context is very well thought out, and it's just that they stick with you, and they're surrounded by this amazing mixture of music on this album. So Blood on the Water, or Blood in the Water rather, really sets the tone very well as the opening track. Then we have Enigma of Reason, and there's some beautiful guitar work there. You kind of get like a few voices, like choir type feel, multiple singers. And again, it gives me that outside in the savannah type feel. And I was really paying close attention to the lyrics on The Wanderer. I kept rewinding the track when listening because I was very fascinated by it. And, it talks about how being a wanderer, exploring as a person is very much a generational cycle. Each generation goes through its own sort of like wandering around, people trying to, really be searching. And, it also talks about music and, memories, of course, being a consistent thread on some of these songs. It makes me think of how music can, when you listen to it, really sparks a memory and brings you back to a time. And movies can as well. There's a bunch of movies, and stuff on this album makes you think about life. You hear about decades of fear, and we live with certain worries for a really, really long time in our lives. And again, the instrumentation is so good. There's harmonica and I believe saxophone on this one, perhaps. I know saxophone is on at least a few different places on this. So yeah, The Wanderer is really great. Then there's a huge tonal shift to the big quit, which, talking about working and, perhaps quitting from work, it makes me think more of the city than like out in the wilderness. So it's a little bit of a shift. I kind of see the first three tracks as one thing, and then you go into this next thing with the next couple tracks. Devil's Encyclopedia, touching on social media and stuff like this. It really makes me think, social media, and this is like my observation, is a tool that people use, and it can be good in conveying like what's going on, but sometimes it can also be like very sensationalized and sometimes inaccurate. So it's important for people to check the sources and whatnot, and also to make sure they are being very honest when sharing things on social media, and also sharing the really important things that are going on and like what's going on in the world, um so yeah, and of course social media is such a huge part of our lives these days. It's like such a huge thing. I just realized I'm like still sharing the album cover on the thing. It's a great cover, but I yeah, okay, there we go. Um, so next we have A Memory of My Future, which is almost the title track. I guess you could say it's just one word has changed, my instead of our. And the feeling of this particular track, it almost feels like the album could have ended right here. It kind of escalates and it gets to what feels like kind of a natural conclusion for this collection of tracks. But that's just a halfway point. We get six more tracks. So it's like you get an embarrassment of riches here. I believe that's the expression. You get more good things than you sort of expected. So after that is I Am Because You Are, which brings to mind, relationships between people. We are a certain way because of how we interact with certain people, and sometimes, positive things carry over, between people within various types of relationships. That again, like these songs really bring some interesting themes to the mind. And you also get a bit of that in Share of Your Life. um, again, thinking about um, types of interactions with people, and you get the caged bird metaphor in this one. Age of Thought, I believe that's an instrumental one. You hear sax or horn instrument, and it's very great interplay here. It kind of feels like a little interlude between the more vocal songs, so kind of like a nice detour and mixture of music. Matchbox Racing has an amazing Hammond sounding solo. I forgot to mention it was kind of a Hammond sound early on either the first or second, or maybe the first couple of tracks. And yeah, you got some really great prominent music on here that's very on the forefront. And again, the vocals are very catchy. Then you have We Stay Loud, which continues from it kind of feels like Matchbox Racing. The end of that segues into We Stay Loud, and it's very upbeat, and it kind of feels like the ending of the album. Um, and the drumming is really great throughout this thing, and props to Leslie Mandoki for his and all these other people's contributions. It's so good. Um, so the final track on this is Melting Pot, which to me feels kind of like the epilogue in this track list. There's some vocalizing, maybe some hand drum and saxophone, perhaps. That's what it sounds like to me. I do wonder if maybe the liner notes, or if they come with the lyrics, if maybe they translate what these vocals are saying. But yeah, it feels like a an epilogue, kind of winding things down. And yeah, overall, this is an incredible album, and you can get it on Inside Out Music. There's the CD version, which I live in the United States, so on my end it looks like it's 14.95, and then you can also get the black vinyl 2 LP version, which over here is 39.98. So yeah, you can get it in either of those formats, um, and I'm sure it'll be available like on the typical official channels where it would be streaming. I saw on the Inside Out Music's Bandcamp page, and the link to get this is in the post. Um, so I'll be sure to. Okay, yeah, like there are a few lyric videos. Um, We Stay Loud, The Big Quit, Blood in the Water, like I mentioned, Devil's Encyclopedia. And I feel like there was something else here. Okay, yeah. So it's available, like I mentioned, Inside Out, Bandcamp, and a few other places. If you go to the uh, Amazon Music as well. And so yeah, just go to the link that's in the post. And I've also included a link to a show that's happening later in August. So this here says after their successful 30 years anniversary tour through Europe, the Soulmates will be performing a special open air concert in the courtyard of the Munich residence on August 15th, 2024, and play the new album live. So, yeah, you can go ahead and check out the link that's in the post here for this vlog or audio episode if you're listening to on audio. So, yeah, I was really impressed with this album. I feel like I have these bands that I tend to gravitate toward, but I also like to listen outside of what I typically go for. And so it's great that this got, a lot of press so that, and, that came to us. And so we were able to be aware and give this a listen. And yeah, I definitely highly recommend it. I think prog fans will find stuff to like on this album. And if you're into jazz, there are some jazzy bits as well. So, yeah, definitely recommend this one. And we are having Leslie Mandoki definitely on Drum Talk TV. Let me just look up the date for that. Yeah, we have him scheduled for June 26th at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time. So, yeah, we have him marked down for that. And if anything changes, we'll let y'all know. We'll do our best. And, but yeah, he's agreed to be on Drum Talk TV for then. So definitely subscribe to Drum Talk TV so that you are in the loop when that happens and you'll get to see it for sure. And yeah, it's very exciting. I'm really surprised I was unaware of this project. It's and with all the people who've been involved, it's just yeah, it's really surprising. So yeah, check out Mandoki Soulmates. You're sure to find something that you like. And as for Yes Shift, you can follow us at facebook.com/Yes Shift, youtube.com/at Yes Shift, and search Yes Shift on podcast apps. You'll probably find us. And you can write to us, yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com, with any thoughts, feedback, suggestions. And tune in tomorrow, Tuesday, May 7th, when we have Miguel Falcao, also known as Miguel Bass, to talk about Play for Chris 10, another installment of his Chris Squire tribute series where people get to submit their own tributes and they get compiled into videos. So yeah, we're going to have Miguel on tomorrow, Tuesday, May 7th at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. and 4:30 p.m. UK time. I had to do the math in my head. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all soon.